bunch of options they have to make. One would be going for the 6th spot. As of right now, they are just a half game behind Portland. Going for it would mean starting LeBron and AD for those final 2 games to give the team a chance to find continuity and chemistry, as both have missed long stretches of time. And even though they're on a nice 3-game winning streak, they could concede the 6th seed and rest all of their starters for a play-in tournament that would begin next Tuesday. Now bring in NBA champion Kendrick Perkins. Perk, top of the morning to you. Where is he?
How you doing, Molly?
Hey, there he is. I'll get to you in a second. I'm going to start with you here, Canty. Should the Lakers rest AD and LeBron the rest of the season?
Molly, had the Trailblazers won last night, I would have said absolutely. But because that door is still cracked open, because they have the potential to still get in a long playoff series and avoid the play-in game, I'm going to say you got to take advantage of it. You got to see how long you can try to entertain the idea of being able to avoid the play-in and being in a long series. Because if you get in a long series, guess what? You allow the law of averages to play out when it comes to the talent with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who, when healthy, are the best duo in the NBA. I don't care what the matchup is. If you can get those guys in a long series, that's exactly what you're looking for. So if you have the opportunity to go out there and win this weekend against the Pacers and against the Pelicans, and for some reason the Blazers stumble against the Denver Nuggets, I just feel like that's what the Lakers would want in an ideal scenario. Now, the likelihood of that happening, I don't know. But I think as long as it's a possibility, you have to see if AD and LeBron James can go out there and do it.
I disagree. I think, I don't care, as a Lakers fan, I don't care if they lose in the first round or in the conference finals. If they lose, and you talk to any of the Laker greats, front office types, coach types, players, go from Pat Riley to Kobe Bryant, and, having asked them in the past, right? What does that mean? Championship. It's a failure of the season. Kobe would say it all the time. Talk to Pat Riley. What does it mean how the season turned out if you didn't win the championship, right? Especially for the Lakers. You know why Lakers fans want the team to win a championship? Because you can't repeat until you win the first one. Because you can't three-peat until you win 2. Lakers fans don't care about a championship. Lakers want to dominate every year, and they consider any season they don't win the whole thing a failure. So I don't care. I'm not trying to preserve, maybe they can last an extra round in the playoffs. As a Lakers fan, you want to win the whole thing. And let me tell you something. You will not win the whole thing with a compromised LeBron or AD. You want them as healthy as possible heading into these playoffs, especially with something like a groin, a hamstring. If it's still tweaked a little bit, you didn't give it quite enough rest, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse through the playoffs. And it'll be a diminished AD I'm thinking about in particular right now. Get these dudes healthy. It does not matter about the play-in game, a one-off. It won't be one anyway. It'll be 2 games. Get LeBron and AD healthy at all costs. That's your only shot.
Max, I disagree with you seriously. I'm with Candy on this one. They have to play. They have to play. LeBron James especially, he haven't played any games. He has to get that repetition under his belt, Max, for his workload on his legs, right? You can't ask LeBron James. I don't care, if he is Superman, a guy that invests $2 million on his body and a physical specimen. You cannot ask him to have been sitting out over the last week and a half and come back and play at the NBA highest level, which is now going to start in the play-in tournament, and think he's going to perform well. That's not how it works. If I'm the Lakers, I use these 2 games. I'm not worried about the win or loss column. I'm worried about these guys getting their rhythm, getting their repetition. Just like I told y'all last game when they played the Rockets, it was a brilliant move to sit both of them out. That way the role players could find themselves and get their rhythm down. Now it's time for LeBron James especially to use these 2 games just to get his rhythm. I don't even care if they win or lose. It's just about getting his rhythm, getting adjusted to that speed against, testing his ankle out, making sure he's okay. Because guess what could happen? And we've seen this throughout this season. When guys come back off an injury and they start to ramp it up and play at the highest level, sometimes they may favor the ankle or favor whatever part of the body that they hurt, and then they hurt something else. So you can't ask LeBron, who's been sitting out, to continue to sit out last two regular season games and think it's not important. It is important for him to get his
It's not important, Perk. It's not that it's not important. A dilemma, as I say on this show from time to time, people misunderstand. They think it's like a tough choice. A dilemma is a choice between two bad options. Both options are bad, right? That's why it's a dilemma. This is a dilemma for the Lakers. I'm not denying what you're saying is true. But the worst option is having a compromised AD for the next 2 months. That's how long the postseason is in the NBA. You want 2 months to ride with an AD who's just going to be more and more diminished? You're right, of course. You want to play him. But right now, actually, where I think you're going to get your legs back a little bit, the sea legs at least, heading into the first round, is in that playing game or games. Yep, they could lose to the Warriors. They could lose to the Blazers. Something like that could happen in game one. They're not losing to the Spurs or the Grizzlies in game two. Not with LeBron and AD on the floor. Not with them both healthy. I'm sorry. And those two games, if it's two, will serve as doing exactly what you want these end of the regular season games to do. The difference is they'll be heated up in playoff mode, having faced that kind of intensity, and they go into the first round, to me, fortunately, against Phoenix instead of the Clippers. I like everything about that better. Two bad options. But the worst one right now is playing hurt players.
Max, you know what? The way that you're talking right now lets me further know that you didn't play the game of it in any sport.
To let you know?
Because just saying something crazy like that, man, like anybody that played any type of sport in the world, Chris, you could contest to this, that, man, look, when you're hurt, the only way you get back in rhythm is by getting out there. And Max, what I'm telling you is, I'm not saying Anthony Davis has been out there. LeBron James hasn't. LeBron needs these 2 games to get his rhythm. Make sure he's see where his speed is, his athleticism, getting the flow of things. Because Max, if you come back and you haven't played a game, guess what? Your timing could be off. Your passes might not be as sharp. You might not be able to play the role like you want to. All those things come into the play when you're talking about sitting out, Max. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not about the wins and losses. It's not about the play-ins. It's about these guys, especially LeBron James, getting the proper reps.
You saying that lets me know that you have a hearing problem. When you say that, you know that someone can't hear. Because I acknowledged that point, Perk. That's right.
Perk,
LeBron should get his rhythm. The health is more important.
Perk, I completely agree with you. And to take your point a step further, Max never played sports, so he doesn't understand that them are going to be 100% no matter how much rest you give them. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that more rest isn't better, but when it comes to these 2 players, we have to acknowledge the reality that both of them haven't been healthy the entire year. And so when you have a situation where you can play in a game and be sent home if something goes wrong in that game, you would rather have a situation where you have more margin for error in being in a long series where you trust LeBron or AD to be able to figure it out if something happens to one of the other guys. Like, I just look at this situation, that play-in tournament, that's a little bit dangerous for the Lakers, even though I'm acknowledging that they will probably make it out. There's no telling what could happen from a health standpoint with either one of those guys, which is why they have a better shot if they get into a long series.
The better argument is for LeBron since he runs your offense. Don't forget, so does Schroeder, and Schroeder's been out the whole time too. That's why I'm saying it's a dilemma. It's just bad. Nothing about it's good. It's just bad. But I'm especially focusing on AD. If you are talking about, and I didn't want it to come to this, I agree with you guys that toward the end of the season, you want them to maybe they'd have just enough runway. But what I see is he's still hurting. By his own admission, last time he played, Anthony Davis said, I'm hurting. And you could see it in his play. So what I'm saying is you guys are talking about the danger if you're not in rhythm in the playing game. It's not going to matter if AD keeps getting worse. You have to give him the best possible shot to be healthy after the regular season is over, as healthy as possible, because that's the best shot to win a championship. And for Lakers fans, that's all that matters.
Well, one more point. I tell you this much. You know what we are about to see? We're about to see those top teams at the Western Conference start monitoring where the Lakers are going to be at. After Portland lost last night, I guarantee you they're going to try to position themselves not to play the Lakers in the first round. And Candy is right. Look, The Portland Trail Blazers, their last game is against the Nuggets, right? We don't know. The Nuggets own the tiebreaker.